Blog Talk Radio.
You're listening to Starseed Radio Academy, empowering Starseed to better serve the planet. Welcome to Starseed Radio Academy. It's Tuesday, May 7th, 2024, and I'm your host, Arielle Taylor, with my co-host, Anastasia. Our special guest this evening is Marguerite Rigoglioso, Ph.D., who is an esoteric scholar, award-winning author, and global authority on virgin birth. Marguerite presents a bold new vision of Mother Mary as a holy priestess and spiritual master in her newest book, The Secret Life of Mother Mary, Divine Feminine Power for Personal Healing and Planetary Awakening, which explores the obscured periods of Mary's life, including her time as leader of the Christian community and as the spiritual teacher to Jesus and Mary Magdalene. It examines Mary's high-level powers, which enabled the divine conception of Jesus, his resurrection, and Mary's assumption into heaven. It shows how nurturing a relationship with Mother Mary can provide healing, empowerment, and the development of your own womb powers. Marguerite will also be speaking about the exciting upcoming event, Starwalker Cafe with William Henry, which is on May 11th. And the link for that is on the show description. It is consultingproductions.com/511 The Mother Mary. Marguerite is the founder of the Seven Sisters Mystery School, which is sevensistersmysteryschool.com, a world-renowned teacher of sacred knowledge and the foremost authority on the history of virgin birth. And her newest book is going to come out on July 16th, but pre-orders are now available on Amazon.com/Secret Life Mother Mary Planetary. And if you just put in Secret Life of Mother Mary, I'm sure it'll come up. At the top of the show, it's Anastasia's Starseed News, bringing topics of interest and hope to Starseeds that you won't hear in the mainstream. And we'd like to thank Jada tonight for producing and hosting the switchboard for anyone who may have a question or comment for our guest. Our main website, of course, is starseedhotline.com, where the Stage 1 Starseed confirmations are based on Lavendar's discovery of star markings and your natal astrological chart, and the Stage 2 session is a one-on-one Zoom session. We also have a new daily transit service to help you navigate your life and mission with greater success, even if you know little or nothing about astrology. And don't forget, if you have a birthday coming up, you're going to get a window of 10 hours of great manifestation power. So you can find out exactly when that happens, because it's often the day before your real birthday, your calendar birthday, by requesting your solar return timing. And that usually takes a week or two, but remember, we're going to be gone for a couple of weeks, so to keep that in mind. And if you do want a reading of that chart, you're going to need to order about 2 months before your birthday. Okay, and I'm going to get your mic open, Marguerite. Hello, and welcome to the show.
Hi, Arielle. Thank you so much for having me again. It's great to be here.
Oh, I was really excited when I saw that you had a new book coming out, and you were on our show when another one of your books came out. And
that's right.
Yeah. So congratulations.
Thank you. It's been a quick few years.
Well, it has. So I went and I looked at your book catalog. And I mean, you've got 2 mentioned, but have you written like 4 or 5?
I've written 4. Yeah, my first 2 were academic books: The Cult of Divine Birth in Ancient Greece and Virgin Mother Goddesses of Antiquity. And that I kind of did a little summary thing in the one that's way more accessible, The Mystery Tradition of Miraculous Conception. It's really about Mother Mary, her divine birth from her mother Anne, and her divine birthing of Jesus, how it all happened, and how I know all that from the material that I had done in ancient Greece, a deep, deep dive research. And then the next one, the one coming out in July 2024, is The Secret Life of Mother Mary, as you mentioned. And so this is really expanding the view of Mother Mary beyond her amazing ability to parthenogenetically conceive Jesus, but then what happened with her, before, during, and after the life of Jesus. So it's a complete unveiling.
Wow. Wow, so this book has been a while in the making, hasn't it?
It has been. It's like really I was writing both of the books at the same time, the Mystery Tradition of Miraculous Conception and The Secret Life of Mother Mary, but I realized I had to separate them because it was just going to be too much information for people to take in at once. And so, I finally got to the rest of the story, and it's breathtaking, and it's not just a historical piece. It's about how Mary is being rebirthed today, how she's coming alive and what she's available to do for us.
Wow. Yeah, and I was wanting to kind of ask you if, when you were a child, were you more tuned in than the other kids, or is this something that started coming to you, later in your life?
I think as a child, I always had a certain level of intelligence, if you will, and so that kind of carried me. It made me much more inquisitive. And in terms of my religious upbringing, I was brought up Catholic, and at some point, really during my adolescence, I started being in church and trying to mine it for its mystical information. And, the homilies were never very interesting. The readings were never very interesting. But I would do what I could to make it come alive for me. But even then, Mother Mary wasn't really a major figure in my world because she was talked about so little. There was much more about Mary Magdalene, and she was talked about in such uninteresting ways, and she became a repressive role model, like girls had to be virgins and dutiful like Mother Mary, and it's, most of us wanted to run as far away from that image as possible, and so my book is about turning us back toward her and saying, no, that's a co-opted, hijacked view of her. Here's some of the real story.
Right. Well, I mean, down over the 2 centuries, I think that story has been twisted and distorted to serve other 3D purposes of, let's say people in power.
That's
and
right.
It's really
been a long 2,000 years that they've had for that.
Yeah.
And it's amazing.
So
because it disempowers all of us, especially women, to have this incredibly limited view of Mother Mary. When she was an amazing healer, exorcist, teacher, magician, and she had her full ascension. That's a lot of us are talking about being starseeds and ascension and what that means, raising our vibration. Well, she actually did it. She had the full experience where she changed her, what we call ontological status, from human to divine. She did it. So she has the pathway.
And she was part of a lineage as well.
That's right. A lineage of oracle women, a lineage of divine birth priestesses, a lineage of high spiritual holy women, and so forth.
Right. So from Lavendar's information, there was a process that took 500 years to get these bloodlines ready for Mary to conceive Jesus.
I love that. I love that. That would make complete sense to me.
That's because of the enormous. Well, that's not the right word. The very high energy of a divine being. The physical vehicle had to be adjusted to be able to do that, and according to Lavendar's information, that took 500 years. So it was well orchestrated for a long time, and that whole part just gets erased or overlooked. So in this book, you said you wrote these two books actually kind of simultaneously because of the different the amount of information and the different or maybe perspective of each book. So let's talk about how the times of her life when she was what was I'm looking to see what the phrase that you used where she was like disappeared. That's not the word you used, but she was like went underground. Let's just say that. So, and have you done the research? I saw that somewhere in the material that your publicist or your publisher sent. So, can you tell us about that? What did she do that is just now coming to the surface?
That's right, yes. What I discuss in this book is the fact that, first of all, the Bible, the Christian Bible, is one of the worst places you can get information about her. It hardly says anything. You find more about her in the Quran. And then there were a series of other biographies about her that were, we realized some of the material was probably lost, burned, stolen, hidden, but there are some that still exist and that are, anywhere from 100 to 400 years after her birth, or after her death, but are probably based on earlier documents that were lost. And so one is The Life of Mary by Maximus the Confessor. There are these other documents that are put together. And one of the ones that I looked at was the Infancy Gospel of James, which is really more about her early life. But these other biographies are amazing. And when I looked at them, I thought, this feels like authentic information, because I was able to cross-reference a lot of claims with other traditions in the ancient world or information that was in the Gnostic Gospels. You see Mother Mary mentioned in the Gnostic Gospels. So although she is a blackout in terms of the Catholic Church, for the first, few hundred years after her death, her biography was alive and well. Her imagery was alive and well. And it was just after that, once you start getting into the Council of Nicaea, where they are deciding on doctrine and they are editing and disappearing the books and this and that, that's when this blackout really happens. It's happened since, the mid 400s or 500s up through now. That's where, but some of these manuscripts were retained. And that's what I talk about in the book, is what's in them and what does this reveal about this amazing holy woman who was a walking Bhairavi Mata. In the Hindu tradition, they talk about these holy women who are called Bhairavi Matas. And Mother Mary was one such. She had a real life. She had a real practice. She had a real death passage. And she still is available, on the inner dimensions today because of all these things that she accomplished in not only this lifetime, but there were many other lifetimes she had leading up to it.
Wow. Yeah, I know when those good old boys got together, in the 4th century, the Council of Nicaea, that's when there was just a complete rip and tear. It's like, no, this truth, things that are true. It's like we better take that out because we can't have people thinking that that they have more than one lifetime.
Yeah, and Arielle, it was not just a human doing. It was an interdimensional plan and process. This is about disclosure. And when I started really reading what the Oracle Lisa Renee is saying about this period on her energetic synthesis site, her Ascension glossary, it just curled my hair. There was a deliberate plan by interdimensional beings to take away this information that Jesus was involved in bringing back. But those councils were really, it wasn't just the human beings that were sitting at those tables, essentially. So the issue goes much deeper than just human greed, obstinate patriarchy. There's a much darker picture here.
So they were either being influenced by or orchestrated. Doing the bidding of. And when you say interdimensional beings, they are not of the highest light.
No. In the Gnostic sources, what we know of as the Gnostic sources, they're called the archons, meaning the, ones who posit themselves as being the creators of humanity and the rulers of the realms. No, they are the guardians of the negative, and Jesus talks about that. And basically, he and the Sacred Family came to bring awareness about them and what's going on, and return us to the light that's within us, that was granted us at our creation as humans.
Well, that makes so much sense because all these years later, I think the same thing is going on with
it's the same
interdimensional beings. Interfering and repressing, and that's the whole Starseed thing is about bringing more light.
That's right.
And truth, especially about the lives of Mother Mary and Jesus and Mary Magdalene.
That's right. And I've just been doing a whole huge unveiling with a course I just did on sacred relationship and sexual healing with Magdalene and Jesus, and some other talks I've been giving on the sexual attack and healing of humanity, and how this whole thing is an attack at the sexual level, starting from the beginning, from what's in the Gnostic Gospels, what Jesus went through, what Magdalene went through, what Mother Mary went through. And so, I'm talking about this on multiple levels, and the whole starseed, the advent of starseed souls coming in is partly what I have received in my own oracle states, is that it's partly because the divine birth priestesses were wiped out to such a degree, or their practices were taken over, because they were trying to bring back the high vibrational beings to the planet, to walk among us, to teach us, to help us get back on our feet and so forth. And so that's been taken over so much and turned into, its opposite, with the royal lines being completely infiltrated, that starseeds, what I just received in ceremony this week is that starseeds, and see if this resonates, a lot of them are working with the souls that were coming into the body genetically before the child is born, and they say, hey, can we make an agreement? Can I use that body, please? And can you go somewhere else? And so that's how a lot of these starseeds are coming in, because there's not a real strong divine birth on the planet anymore until we rev that back up again. So that's why starseeds a lot of times they feel so mismatched in their families, and it's like, what the heck's going on? They have to go through a lot of trauma because they're not even the genetic soul of the body, and they're just like here to do work, using whatever souls they can. So I don't know if that is anything that you have received, but it's like fresh, hot off the presses for me.
Yeah, well, that's what Lavendar calls, the walk-ins, where there's an agreement, and sometimes it can happen at any point during the life, but that's right. Yeah, the starseed, I'll say movement or appearance on the planet is increasing exponentially as the need gets more severe.
That's right. And I only realized yesterday in a medicine ceremony I was doing and getting this information, the strong relationship between the starseed souls and the divine birth priestesses and the souls they were attempting to bring in, how it's all part of the same project.
Mhm. Yeah, well, it's called, creating a new root race on the planet.
That's right.
That is, taking that genetic memory of war and all of that, cleansing the bloodlines to take all that energy out.
That's right. So when a starseed soul comes in and has to deal with all this freaking trauma that they've they've incarnated into, they're doing a huge amount of cleanup operation.
Yeah.
So the self-healing is as much an important part of it as anything, because when you do self-healing, then you're healing the ancestral line.
Exactly. And, that things that get inherited lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, whether it's, war, revenge, really, really low energies, it's being cleansed. And a lot of starseeds come in, as you said, to a family that's completely, dysfunctional with all kinds of things to overcome. And then they end up, it's like, what was I thinking?
I know.
That's, and you think
here
that
you
maybe
are in
they
one
were
very long acid trip that you can't get out of,
Yeah. Was I switched at birth? This can't be my family.
Well, they were. You were switched at birth because you made an agreement. You did it, though. You did the switching.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's what I've received. So brava to all the starseeds.
Yes. So with, people, let's say, inheriting all of this like karmic wounding, how do you develop a nurturing relationship with Mother Mary to help with that healing? What does that look like?
Yeah. Well, the first thing is to realize how immensely powerful these beings are and how beneficent they are and how available they are, and to say hello and just say, hello, Blessed Mother Mary, can you please start helping me? Can I work with you? Teach me about who you are. And, the simplest way, Arielle, is just to go into a meditation with Mother Mary and ask her to hold you. Ask her to heal you. Ask her to take you into her womb and regestate you. I do this a lot at night when I'm feeling extra freaked out. I just say, Mother Mary, please take me into your womb. It's like safe zone. And she's here as a personal healer for when you're dealing with all your trauma, your inner pain. She's here to soothe, to help, to mother you. She is the mother. And then in and around that, you can be working with her as your spiritual guide and teacher. Teach me the mysteries. Teach me how to ascend my soul. What is it that I need to do? Go into meditations with her. Go into prayer time. Gather with other women about this, and men. There are many who are called to see and understand her in her non-dogmatic form, right? So you're calling on her non-hijacked form, the radiant self that she is, and you're just developing a relationship with her, like you're developing a relationship with any human person. So those are all some steps along the way. And in my book, I provide some beautiful free meditations that people can access, 8 different themes and topics where you can work with Mother Mary, and you're led through guided journeys. So it's quite beautiful. Highly recommend it. It's easy, does the work for you, and then it teaches you how to have your own creative encounters with Mother Mary.
Wow, that is so needed.
Yeah.
And what I'm hearing is that the individual needs to ask. You need to make the first move in that direction,
mm-hmm.
right?
Yes.
I mean,
yes.
She's not going to interact without invitation.
Absolutely. You may have been experiencing some synchronicities, some nudges. They do give nudges and so forth. Pay attention to those. And if you haven't received any of those, then you can just, simply start your own relationship with a candle and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, that now
and in the fall, I'm going to be doing a Mary and Magdalene Priestess Training. So for people who want to go into this more deeply, not only on the personal healing level, but on the spiritual ascension level, that will be a really wonderful, unique to my knowledge, training where we are working with the Marys. And it's not just the 2 of them, but it's also Mother Mary's sister, Mary Paragita. So she's been almost wiped from the record, although we do see a shard of her in the New Testament and a shard of her in the Gnostic Gospels. But then we do also see her in the biographical material about Mother Mary that I said was suppressed, but we still have some copies existing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, what? Mother Mary's sister? What the heck?
Yeah. This is the first I've ever heard of that. And
I know.
Never really
it's
thought about,
unbelievable.
Family members.
Well, and think about this. Mother Mary as a stepmother to Joseph's children. I write about that. Mother Mary as Mary Magdalene's mother-in-law and teacher. I write about that. So these are the kinds of things that you just go, wow. I mean, duh. It's kind of been right there in front of our eyes, and yet because of all this, the ways it has been twisted, we haven't even put our mind to this. And once we start putting our mind to it, then we can start really understanding it and be co-creators with these Marys, because they weren't the only ones. And I talk about the name Mary, originally Mariam or Miriam, coming from the Egyptian Mary, which meant divine love. So it was a priestess title having to do with divine love. Mm-hmm.
So is it?
And I talk much more about that.
Is it no coincidence that marry someone, is that, linguistically connected?
Well, you would have to look at the linguistics. You could trace it back, and it would be interesting to see, because a lot of times, yes, etymologically you can trace it, But even whether you can etymologically trace it or not, there's this function of the English language that William Henry talks about. He tuned me into this. And he said that the English language functions as like a mechanism through which messages can be sent about those very kinds of things. You can make these linguistic connections that are signs and significators and awakeners. And so they should be paid attention to. They're like little synchronicities of language.
That's
and speaking of William Henry, he and I are going to be joining forces together this Saturday, May 11th. You mentioned that at the very beginning.
Right.
For his Star Walker Cafe. It's the first one that he's doing where he has a guest. And it's going to be 4 hours. And there's, I think you said you had the link for the tickets. I'm going to be talking about the mystery of divine birth with new layers that I haven't even discussed previously. And then he's going to be talking about the Marys and the Pleiades as star walkers and the connection between the Pleiades and Mother Mary, and how these, both of us are going to be talking about how the Pleiades are these 7 beamed in star mothers of humanity, essentially. Their DNA, they talk about seeding lineages. Their DNA is in all of us. What happened there? William has a lot of information about that. I have a lot of the academic information and, some more of the channeled information. So this is going to be a fascinating event on Saturday that I highly recommend. It's at 9 a.m. Pacific and 12 noon Eastern. And so, yeah, please come and join us. We are.
So it is.
That's a real meeting of the minds.
And it's online. Excuse me.
Yep.
It's online, and the link is in the show description, but it's consultingproductions.com, and then /0511 for May 11th, the Mother Mary. So people can check that out.
Yep.
Yeah, and
William Henry he's such an exciting scholar, mystic, guide. He's been doing this stuff for decades. He knows his stuff, and when he and I get together, it's like puzzle pieces come together that are pretty amazing.
Wow. Yeah, we had William on our show several years ago, but it's good to see that, he's still on the path, still putting it out there, and now you're doing this, this event. And is this like an ongoing kind of event, the Star Walker Cafe, with different topics?
Yeah.
Or is this a one-shot?
It's an ongoing series that he's doing. He'll have other guests, and sometimes he does it himself, and he's also sponsoring conferences and, things like that. So it's going to be ongoing. He's at the beginning of it. And he just wants to give a platform to other people like him who are bringing in important pieces. And then when he gets together with us, it's an exponential kind of expansion. It can happen because then I present, he presents, then we talk together, so that's going to be one of his formats that he has with.
Wonderful. Now, let me ask you another question as to just put it this way. Does Mother Mary have grandchildren?
Well, here's the thing about that. I would say yes, based on what I know of Jesus' life and connection with Mary Magdalene. And I do talk about that in The Secret Life of Mother Mary. I do go into a discussion of Mary Magdalene, her conception capacities, her practices with Jesus, and the possible results according to French legend, not to mention, of course, oracle material from those such as Claire Hartsong in her Anna, Grandmother of Jesus book, and her Anna, the Voice of the Magdalenes book, those two different books.
Mm-hmm.
It feels to me that, yes, Mother Mary not only has grandchildren, but she has many generations from that of a lineage that was seeded into humanity. Because when a couple has a child and when the child has children, and then, it goes on and on.
Right.
So
right.
there is a supposed lineage that is extant in the world of these, from Jesus and Mary Magdalene.
Well,
I don't know if that resonates for you.
Well, yeah. I mean, this is something that is trackable for the bloodline astrologically. So, I mean, at some point, I'd like to see your chart, because I'm almost certain that I'm going to find these particular frequencies that that kind of gives you the right to do what you're doing, because you were born with it.
Wow. Oh, that would be fascinating.
Yeah. And you think about 2,000 years of propagation. It's, holding the light.
Yeah.
So now you are doing, you said later this year, the I forget what you're calling it.
Yeah, like the Mary and Magdalene
Priestess Training. And that would be online through the Seven Sisters Mystery School?
Yes, so people will want to go to sevensistersmysteryschool.com, get on our newsletter, or sign up for anything free, and you'll be on our newsletter, and keep abreast of it, because we'll be announcing it probably in August, and it will probably start in September. It'll probably run 6 months and maybe 7. And it's going to be, I'm still developing it right now, but it's going to be a sequence of things to develop ourselves as Marys and as Magdalenes. What does that mean, right?
Mm-hmm.
So those are, that title, taking on the Mary Priestess title and taking on the Magdalene Priestess title. That was a name, a kind of a nickname that was given to her, because she was a guardian. She was a watcher of the flock. She was a tower, and it was her descriptor, the way that the rock was Peter's descriptor. So
wow,
we are learning the codes to pattern our vibrations after these master beings, maintaining our individuality, our sovereignty, our uniqueness, our creativity, but getting on with the clam bake, raising it up now.
Right.
So that we can have better lives while we're here, so that we can do our mission of bringing more healing and love to the earth, and so we can help move Earth into the next vibration, the next dimension, and ascend our souls, so that, in the next lifetime, or however many lifetimes we want to live on Earth, we're going somewhere. You know what I mean?
Right.
We're not just recycling. We're not recycling. Right. We're taking command of the process, not having it be unconscious, and and just bringing the higher vibration while acknowledging the pain, the suffering, the healing that's needed, all of that. Reclaiming those priestesshoods, clearing off all of the hijacking and the twisting and the distortion of what those things are, and
right.
and riding the wave of its power again. That's what we're doing.
Oh, this is just really good news for the planet to come to, comprehend that this is an ongoing thing. It's not something that happened 2,000 years ago and now it's history and it's over. It's escalating and expanding continually, perpetually.
That's right. That's right. And
Go ahead.
As I went back into the Gnostic sources, I realized how today those texts are and the issues that they were dealing with and showing humanity about. It's totally today. And a new rung of the spiral now. And there's more awakening power available globally than there was then. So because things were really going down, the indigenous peoples were really being killed en masse, and there's just been a whole degeneration of humanity. And now we have this ability to be on the upswing because we're starting to have these realizations. We're starting to have these awakenings. Even, Arielle, and you'll appreciate this, and this is the first time I'm speaking this, but yesterday and today, I started realizing, we're all talking about going into the new earth. Well, how is that going to happen? What's it going to look like? It's going to be a new vibration. Does that mean matter will disappear? But what I realized is, what are the physicists telling us? Yes, the quantum physicists are making matter start to disappear. And we're having a whole new understanding of that everything, even the material, is to some degree illusory, right? So the science is propelling us into fifth-dimensional new earth. And we're all a little disoriented with that. And then there are other things that are happening that are detaching us from the material, like the seasons are changing. And yes, all that could be a function of negativity and, weather control and this and that. Everything we used to be able to count on, we can't really count on anymore in the physical domain. We can't even count on right and left. The right wing is starting to look like the left wing, and the left wing is starting to look like the right wing, if you see what I'm saying. The poles are shifting, right? So this is what's happening. We're getting all disoriented, and this is what moving into New Earth is. And we just need grounding and steadiness of these masters to help us not get re-traumatized, stay in the light about it, and, experience this in the best way possible.
Yeah, well, in my conception of where we're heading, ascending into 5D, that 5D can coexist on the physical planet, but the frequency is different. So it's not like, and people that refuse to let go of 3D and the darkness and the heaviness, they'll still be here, but we won't be able to see them because it's a different density of matter, and they, there will be kind of a schism, and so you can't. It's like Lavender says, you can't bring them, drag them kicking and screaming. They have to, people that are already kind of spinning on a really low frequency, they have to want to take a step up, because you can't, you can't take away their free will. But there are plenty of people who have had enough of that, that density and the harsh and the cruelty of the world.
Yeah.
So this is just really enlightening, hopeful, exciting, great information that you're bringing forward, and it's so necessary. you know, on a lot of levels. And, you know, bringing that, coming out of polarity.
Yeah.
Where it's, you know, us and them, right and wrong, left and right, up and down. You come out of polarity into neutrality, and that's kind of like the elevator that takes you up a few levels.
Yeah, because neutrality, non-judgment, discernment, and wisdom all go together. They're all like sisters to help us. And so the non-judgment part is what we're starting to move into. Again, it goes hand in hand with the neutrality.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what the Marys can teach. It's part of the learning that will be happening. It will also include character development, looking at the virtues, the 7 virtues. Again, clearing off all the hijacking of what those virtues have become in the tradition of a church that shall remain unnamed, and getting them back to their actual pure essence to help us again. So it's character development. How do we develop our character not in a way that we're avoiding our pain, doing a spiritual bypass, right?
Uh-huh.
But really choosing the brighter path any given moment of the day. So it's going to be like an accelerated pathway into that. Choosing the good, as Jesus would say.
That's a really good point, because I have said for a long time that our power resides in our choices.
Yeah.
And if you make a choice that's disempowering, that's your right. Or you can make a choice that's empowering and enlightening, and you know. So yeah, you always come to a point where you choose to, you know, react and lash out and judge, or not.
Yeah.
And that's kind of maybe like the beginning where the you can see the light at the end of the tunnel. It's like, oh, you know, you can rise above that, and
that's right.
And you know, give grace rather than judgment, or give compassion rather than judgment.
That's right.
Take a look through someone else's eyes. So, you know, and I've been saying that at the end of the show, just to like really, if you are grateful and you feel blessed and you give compassion instead of judgment, that's really the gateway.
It is.
Yeah.
And you know what's the foundation for that? As you know, it's personal healing. Because how can we give compassion if we're like agonized inside? If we're still torn up from childhood, you know, so this is all part of it, right? Mm-hmm. There's an ascension journey even within a lifetime, let alone the ascension of the soul, or what I call, as you may know, inscension, because it's an ever inward process, and it's an inside job. You know, it's not, it's not like coming out of the body.
That's right on the money.
You know, and this is what the Marys are helping us with, right? And so they are being unveiled and rebirthed in a really much bigger way now. We had Magdalene go first over the last 40 years, and so now a lot of us are getting situated with the new energy of the authentic Mary Magdalene, and now this is happening with Mother Mary through this book and, you know, other things that will develop out of that. This is the seeding material, if you will, for
really?
You know, the general, you know, for people to kind of go, oh, right. Wow, that's interesting about Mother Mary. Oh my gosh, right?
Right, and that it really it is planting the seeds for a more balanced civilization, with, you know, returning the feminine. Yeah, returning the feminine
right.
in balance with masculine. And so I tell people, just think of Jesus and Magdalene as the role models.
They are
for the divine masculine and the divine feminine, and they've got to be they've got to be in balance. And when we can kind of propagate that all over the planet and help bring people to that balance, that's a time worth living for.
It's a time worth living for. That's such a beautiful, we're going to create a bumper sticker, all right? It is a time worth living for. And then, if you look at Mother Mary, she's the wholeness within. Because what I've come to understand, I've been looking at this prism or this bridal chamber, right? So there's like the Eucharist and all these different, I forget what they're called. This gift called the bridal chamber. It's a process. It's a ritual. It's a ceremony, but it's an inner job first, and that's what you really find out when you start looking in the Gnostic Gospels. So, and then I realized, Mother Mary had to become that inner wedded masculine feminine in order to parthenogenetically give birth. She had to become the hermaphrodite again. Mm-hmm. And that's one thing I've been discovering, is that the original human form was hermaphroditic. That is no joke.
Wow.
It's all in the Gnostic Gospels, right there, for anyone to see. And so the divine birth priestess who accomplishes parthenogenesis must become the male-female in herself, and then she unites the polarities, and then she's able to conceive through these other mechanisms that she's learned over 500 years or more of incarnation. Mm-hmm. And then there's that is one form of the Mary, and the other form of the Mary is like Mary Magdalene, where you use your process of the bridal chamber to have tantric union with a male. Instead of parthenogenetically giving birth, you have a sacred marriage that gives birth. So that's what's being exposed now for the general public. And we're ready.
Yeah. There's starseeds everywhere over the planet that are, connected to this through some lifetime or multiple lifetimes. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure it resonates with a lot of people.
I want to see them all sparkling alive and going, oh my gosh, wow, I just received 70 million codes that, or I just remembered, oh, thank you, So I want people to come alive with this and take it to new dimensions and new directions. It's so exciting. As you're saying, a time worthy to be alive, or wonderful to be alive.
Worth living for.
Worth living for. Yeah. Despite all of the shenanigans that have been going on and everything they're trying to do, the negative ones, we just have to keep grounding.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the darker energies, I just call it the Darth Vaders of the world. Yeah. They know that they're on the way out and escalating, in their desperate attempt to cling to power. But they know that their contract is about over. And we're just right on the brink of that. Another thing I want to mention before I forget, when I was reading your notes and material, that your book is coming out on July 16th.
Yes.
Well, that is a star date. And when the sun is at galactic degree, that's when major things happen on the planet. And this particular star date is strongly linked to the divine feminine.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's interesting. There has been an ongoing struggle about that date. I mean, I've accepted it. I love Inner Traditions, my publisher. They're wonderful. But I was hoping that the book was going to come out earlier in the year or later in the year, because summer seemed like such a weird time to launch a book. And then it was like, well, is it going to be July 16th or is it going to be July 9th? And then things were not working out. I said, you know what, let's just keep it as your original, which is July 16th. And so here we are. And I didn't even think astrologically, like that's, I wasn't even thinking.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
tell us more.
That's kind of what we do with, Lavendar taught me for years and years and years. And, when the sun is at galactic degree, big things happen. It's almost like the galactic councils, they have to wait for their timing.
Wow.
And when it goes galactic, that's when they can move. So your book is coming out on a galactic degree day, and the galactic degree in Cancer, which will be there. I mean, that's July.
Yeah.
That is kind of the embodiment of the divine feminine.
Yeah, my birthday is July 7th.
Yeah, well,
so July has always been a big month for me. Usually major things happen for me in July, and this is no exception. Right.
Yeah, well, this is so even without seeing your chart, I can tell you that Cancer is a very maternal, motherly.
That's right.
Unconditional love, compassion, all those things that are like keywords for the sign of Cancer. That's perfect. I mean, for the topic of this book, out of the other 364 days, this is probably the strongest day that you could launch that. So,
oh my gosh, maybe you could do a birth chart for the book.
Sure.
That would be wonderful. I'd love to put it on my newsletter and in my blog. That would be such a cool thing.
Yeah, I'd be happy to do that. Just email me to remind me, because in the next 3 weeks we're going to be traveling. We've got a major event going on for Pleiadian lineup, and I when I get back, I might forget that I said that. So just send me an email and say, hey, give me the info, and I'll take a look at it, because I know it's going to be huge. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's we try to teach people when you're doing something that you've invested so much of yourself in, and to educate the world, to inspire, to teach, any of that, you've got to have the launch date is just as important as the material, because you get a really great material and you pick a day that, could have been a little better, and things can happen, or maybe expectations would be off a little bit, but yeah, and this goes for everybody that's listening. If you've got something that's really important, take a look. You can look on the internet and find out when the sun is at 25, 26, or 27 degrees, and that way you'll have kind of like the galactic wind at your back.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so interesting, because when I founded Seven Sisters Mystery School, I did consult an astrologer, and we chose September 14th, 2012, and it was a beautiful reading that she did, and I sometimes pull that out around the birthday of the school, which is now, it'll be 13 in 2024. Well, I guess maybe technically.
So that was September. What was the date in September?
September 14th, 2012. So I guess we're working up to 12 years technically. But yeah, and everything that was stated in her description, has been the template of the school and the energy of the school. And it's really beautiful. Go, okay.
Yeah.
The birth chart of the secret life of the rebirth chart of Mother Mary, let's say. How about that?
That's what I just opened up my astrology software because I just wanted to see now. I was like, I don't know now. I got to know now. July 16, 2024.
Mm-hmm.
Bingo. Well, yeah, I mean, the sun will be at galactic degree, and and Mars and Uranus are both at the mark of the Pleiades.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, that's a whole huge healing right there because.
Oh, yeah, and this
Mars,
is lined up with. Yeah. I mean, Mars and Uranus.
The negative energies.
Well, it has. It's brought out that side of Mars, but I mean, Mars is the energy and it can be the divine masculine, but both Mars and Uranus, conjunct at the mark of the Pleiades. Woo! And then the moon on that day, which is always about women and the feminine, is in the sign of Scorpio, and that's the rebirth.
Wow.
So there was some divine guidance, regardless of who picked the date, what reason they thought they had for doing it.
This is the thing. I have learned to trust Mother Mary and her timing. Whenever I'm working with her or doing anything, I just ask her because I really have gotten a strong feeling that she is working with me, that it's her timing is always, and it's pretty amazing. I even felt that, and I write about this in The Secret Life of Mother Mary, that she was my real estate agent. She got me my house.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because there were a whole huge series of synchronicities Mary related about this house that I got. And it was like, oh my gosh, she is orchestrating here, right? So the thing is, here's the thing, everybody. This is a relationship like any other relationship. Of course, it has the potential to be an incredibly elevated thing. But when we are when we are connecting with these masters and guides, it is a relationship. So all of our relationship skills go into that and assist with that relationship. And then we are also taught new relationship skills by these masters and guides. So it's a very interesting process. And it's an unusual idea for most people to have a relationship with, so-and-so, this astral being or that astral being. But it's true. It's a relationship across the veil.
It's much more accepted, I think, by people who are a little bit more spiritually evolved. But now, did you say September 15th, 2012?
It was September 14th, 2012.
September 14th. Okay.
Yeah.
'Cause I just had to take a look at that as well, because I know that you have this divine guidance. Yeah. September 14th, Mercury was at the mark of Jesus and Mary Magdalene. So,
really?
Yeah. So whoever, whatever astrologer recommended that. That this is good timing as well. So I just had to take a look at that because I was wanting just like I can't, I have to have the visual on that to see and to track it. But that's really great. Really great.
Well, thank you so much. I mean, what else do you think your listeners would want to hear about any of this to support them in their work, in their growth, in their healing?
Well, I mean, we've got a huge Starseed community that is very much awakened to the truth with Jesus and Mary Magdalene, and I think this material that you have in this book, The Secret Life of Mother Mary, will just help them clarify and maybe turn the focus a little sharper. But there are probably millions of people, millions of starseeds that are already on this track. So we hope they're listening tonight and that they remember May 11th. That's this coming Saturday, right?
Yes. Saturday afternoon. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you'll be with William Henry for the Star Walker Cafe, and that is consultingproductions.com/0511 the Mother Mary. That's how they get into this online.
That's how you can
access it. Yeah, so it's kind of like a conference online. Okay.
Yep. So it's 4 hours live or in replay indefinitely if you can't make it live. And it should be very, very exciting because William seems to be on fire now with the information that he received when he got my book, The Mystery Tradition of Miraculous Conception, earlier this year. It started putting all these pieces together for him, and then you know how it is. We build on each other's work. It's exponential.
Well, it's like a collaboration from a distance.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, parallel tracks. Yeah. Well, it has just been a pleasure having you with us, and I will say once more, your website is sevensistersmysteryschool.com. And your book is available on pre-order from Amazon. The Secret Life of Mother Mary, and then Saturday you'll be with William at the Star Walker Cafe. So we encourage everyone to dig in. This might be what you've been waiting for.
Oh, blessed be! I certainly hope so.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me again. And for all your wonderful work.
Our pleasure, and thank you for the work that you do on behalf of the truth and the divine feminine. So just keep it up. Keep up the good work, and I know you've got another book in you. So when you get that one, let us know, and I'd love to hear about what's coming up next.
Okay. All right, Arielle. Okay. Well, lots of love to you and Lavender as well.
And you too. You take care.
All right. I'll say goodbye for now.
Okay. Bye-bye. Well, that is our show for tonight, and we will be back 3 weeks from tonight because we're leaving for the Starseed Quest. So May 28th will be our next show. And until then, remember to keep gratitude in your heart and give compassion instead of judgment. Until next time, good night, everyone. You've been listening to Starseed Radio Academy. Visit our website at www.starseedhotline.com.